was the Desovietization of streets. Local activists just giving streets their old names instead of naming them after party members. So renaming streets, purge these people. Fights against nationalism, anti-Semitism, and Zionism? Scion with an S? What? If it's the word, I think it's the misspelling of what? A lot of the early leaders of the Soviet Union were actually Jewish. Like, that's a fact. In fact, it led to Nazis spreading bullshit conspiracy theories. Oh, they're trying to destroy the world through socialism. Screw those fascist pricks. The Tsars heavily oppressed the Jewish minorities in Russia, and so a lot of them were influential in the early socialist movements because they hated the Tsars, and for good reason. The Tsars deserved that opposition, and wasn't really until the Near East, Palestine, became a breaking point. Probably censor for mentioning Israel, Palestine anyway, so I might as well say names, because freaking YouTube censorship, that won't show my video to hardly anyone. But it wasn't until that happened. The Soviet Union eventually, after initially supporting Israel, actually, much to their shame, realized that they're on the wrong side of history. And Israel was also showing itself to be a pro-US regime that also played a part. So they did the right thing for the wrong reasons, but they turned against them, and that alienated some of the Jewish leadership. Plus, they were overrepresented relative to population. It was only because of the Tsarist oppression of the minority that there were so many. So, point is, the influence declined, and then there was some racism against Jewish people in the Soviet Union, which the government tried to crack down on sometimes, at other times support it. It was very schizophrenic. One year they support it, the next year they went against it. But it doesn't make sense. This wouldn't have anything to do with Zionism, because a lot of the streets to be named after some of those Jewish leaders is what I'm saying. A lot of people were expelled, so opposing them being renamed. A lot of people were expelled from art unions, and some books were even banned. Intellectuals hated that. Anonymity went down. Left-wing really liked that, though. And reduced mind mobilization, which is ultimately a long-term problem. Everything's quiet. Cool. I cut budgets just a touch more. Boom. Capability is pretty high, but if I cut. Journals are put, well, they only need tiny. Whoops. And I'm going to cut UN's portal because that provides cultural contentment, which is already high because of the artistic frames before, though it probably took a temporary hit because of that. Yeah, so the people were purging that they're moved from the party and sometimes arrested. The gulags had already been shut down well before this, so typically people being purged didn't necessarily went to prison, though some did, unfortunately. It varied. Some NKVD, which is the precursor of the KGB agents, wildly abused their power. Historically, anyways, right, not going to be able to provide military aid, but I can civil aid. What? Reserves are high enough. Got the political power. Disapproval is too high. What if I subsidize Sudan? And the Ivory Coast. and Togo. Nicaragua for a little while. Does that cost money instantly? No, probably changes the monthly budgets though. Alright, so 56 disapproval. I'll check back on that later. Oh, I can develop Burkina Faso. Maybe I wait a little. Keep my gold reserves high enough for events. So I can face the country. It was Gromyko. Let's go with Pragmatist. Nikolai Tikhonov, head of the Soviet government since 1980, a pragmatic economist, business executive manager, man of crystal honesty, uses personal money to buy buses for schools and pioneer camps. He does not particularly interfere in politics, but always defends his actions, even in the face of the wars. Ready to forgive his own pension and continue to serve the Soviet state. That might help the budget. I don't know. Let's see. I can't do anything yet. Trim environmental support. To rebuild it later. And the healthcare budget. Let's stay over 400. Meet in Beijing. After Mao Zedong's death in 1976, an internal party struggle between Maoist conservatives and reformers began in China. The latter actually took power in 1978 and proclaimed the beginning of a policy of reform and openness. In 1981, Mao's successor, Hua Guofeng, was forced to resign as chairman, and the former Deng Xiaoping concentrated the actual power in his hands. New General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, Zhao Ziyang, who advocates large-scale reforms, is also gaining influence. The Chinese government began to move away from Mao's foreign policy. They're already trying to improve relations with the US and the whole world. Starting for international integration. Maybe it's our chance to resolve relations with China. Go to Beijing in person. Personally went to Beijing, which showed the importance of foreign relations with China for you and the Soviet Union as a whole. At Beijing Capital International Airport, met with Deng Xiaoping and Zhao Ziyang and held talks on restoring strong political, economic, and inter-party ties. Right. Relations are not great with China, but I'd like that to change. Okay. Subsidies did not bring down disapproval, but... Oh, development goes up each month with subsidies, I see. It's up to 83 now. That's a way to slowly develop a country. Move subsidies in Nicaragua. They're 100 development now. Cost power to remove. Says Brill, yeah, and to add. Right, I'll see how much it goes up each month. Keep the reserves up. Because any subsidies rebuilt them. Slightly? Maybe. Development 4070 for Brazil. Albanian warming. More than 3 years passed since the death of Hoxha. Its friends and family are removed from power, and warming began the country in the form of amnesties and improved foreign relations. Go personally and negotiate return to Comecon. Alea organized a war meeting during which Albania not only confirmed restoration of economic and diplomatic relations, but Comecon membership as well. And we gave a loan of low interest for a very long time. Albania is in the Comecon now. Okay, so development goes up by 5 without spending political power. It's like gradual civil aid. That can cost less political power in the long run. That's good to know. You have to remember to cut it when the country is fully developed. So I'm doing that in Sudan, Togo, and Ivory Coast. I might also auto cut. My budget falls too low. Alright, this whole civil tech is a little excessive. Trim education again. Accessibility is still maxed. Level education is high. Still too weak to give anyone military aid. Cambodia. Despite the fact the new pro-Vietnamese socialist government in Cambodia is less authoritarian and doesn't use bloody purges, unlike the overthrown Khmers. Social conditions are better than was ruled by monarchists, support by the West and other countries opposing the Soviet Union. Red mayors and monarchists who created a new party led by Pol Pot continue terrorizing the population. The American government views them as the real representatives of Cambodia, because the U.S. initially recognized Cambodia as the legitimate leader of Cambodia. I mean, Pol Pot is a legitimate leader of Cambodia, which is a load of nonsense. The guy was a terrorist and a mass murderer. Eventually, the U.S. government recognized that fact, but for a while, to gain influence in the country. And now, when Khmers, monarchists, and other Cambodian opposition unable decide what to do, can negotiate or let Vietnam decide. This will antagonize China less. The Vietnamese army continues to support the Cambodian government, while opposition centralizes and declares the new regime to be Vietnamese occupation. They're supported by the West. But yeah, Vietnam is able to prevent Cambodia from going monarchist. Cool. Do one more turn of subsidies in these countries.